This man is now another hyphenate. He does boxing for DAZN, but of course you know him best for his basketball coverage for Sports Illustrated. And now, Mr. Roundball Rock himself, ladies and gentlemen. Chris John Tash Mannix here on the Rich Eisen Show. Good to see you, sir.
Love the introduction, Rich. I appreciate it.
The only way I can do it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to
the NBC world.
I grew up on that stuff, like Roundball Rock. I mean, the NBA and NBC in the 1990s, it was awesome.
I know. With all due respect to you, Mike Del Tufo, and everyone at Fox.
I know.
But when I think of when Roundball Rock comes on, I just think of the aerial shot of either Chicago Stadium or the United Center, as it's just freshly built, and Costas is getting everyone ready for a big game, or Marv's voice, getting ready for yet another Michael Jordan beatdown of anybody, fill in the blank.
I miss the Costas monologues at the beginning of these games. I always thought they added some context to what you were going to see. And like I grew up reading Peter Vesey in the New York Post and watching him, as an insider on TV. So I'm excited to be even a small part of it.
Fantastic. Will Jayson Tatum be a part of this season, sir?
What a segue.
Just jumping right into it.
Let's just get right to it.
This man over there and all the Celtics honks are seeing him looking pretty spry on a practice court right now. What do you think? Is there any possibility?
That was like a 6-minute YouTube video that Tatum uploaded that really 12 seconds of it captivated everybody. And that was the time he spent on the court in Boston. Now, he did his first on-court workout about a week ago Monday now. So that was the first time he got back on the court. I was in New York with him last week, and he said that was the first time he's felt like a basketball player again. That said, I didn't expect to see that. I didn't expect to see the cutting, the movements, all the things that you see Tatum go through in a normal workout. So it was incredibly encouraging. But when I talk to people that are close to Tatum and people around the Celtics, they're pumping the brakes pretty hard on the anticipation game because they know this injury is a tricky one. It's a tricky one to fully recover from. And even when you feel like you're fully recovered, you don't want to be kind of overcompensating in other areas to protect this type of injury. So they're excited in Boston that he's doing all this, but nobody out there is, stamping the All-Star break or March as a time to bring him back.
Okay, so he is still human. He's not an alien.
I think the other variable too in this is, the Celtics, this is a gap year. There's no doubt about it. Like maybe they can make the playoffs, but they're not competing for anything this year. Next year, 26-27 is when they're back in the mix. And what's the best thing that could help them in that year? That's probably having a lottery pick. Like they control their own draft pick in this next June's draft. I don't think it would bother too many people in Boston if they wound up slipping into the lottery and are able to use that pick to get another cheap, controllable player or trade that pick to get a veteran that helps this mix.
All right, let's talk about a lot of the news that came out of this past week of media days from coast to coast here. You were at a couple of them.
Yep.
Which ones were you at?
I went to Philadelphia's, which was early, and then the Clippers, which was on Monday.
All right, let's take it one at a time. The Sixers, which one, what did you take away from the Philadelphia 76ers?
Anxiety.
Oh, wow.
There was a lot of anxiety. Maybe it was just coming from me, because I flew in to New York and took the train down to Philadelphia. The second I landed in New York, I pulled up the old gambling app, and I saw the Sixers, 42.5 on the Sixers over-under, hammered that, Rich. Like that, I am all in. I was all in on the 76ers to get like 48, 50 wins this season, taken off. I looked at the roster, the fact that the Eastern Conference stinks, and I thought they were going to take off. Then I get to media day. I'm saying. Then I get to media day, and Joel Embiid sits down and has the cliche book right out, going one day at a time, going to listen to the doctors, taking it step by step, got a lot of boxes to check. That made me incredibly nervous because it felt a little bit like deja vu. Like where we were last year, where Joel Embiid was not ready for training camp and was not talking about being ready for the season opener. Maybe he will be. Maybe in a few weeks' time, we'll see Embiid out there on the floor for the 76ers. But his status and the uncertainty around it, that made me nervous because everything else is just gravy, right? It's like Paul George, yeah, you want to get him back into the mix. Jared McCain, want to see him back. They need Joel Embiid playing 55 to 60 games to give them a chance to compete in the conference.
Okay, so there's that. And then the Clippers media, was that all about the Pablo Torre finding out, or what? What was that about?
It should have been. It wasn't.
Okay.
Look, I thought it would. The Clippers, they whisked him in and out of there in about 7 minutes.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard. They're saying they got him in. Like Lawrence Frank answered some questions about it, but the Clippers did everything they possibly could to avoid putting Kawhi in a position to have to answer some tough questions. He did answer some questions from Ramona Shelburne from ESPN. I was at the media day. I was trying to ask some of those questions. I was not given the opportunity to do so. Now, nobody cares how the media does its job, but I thought it was noteworthy that they were not calling on people that they knew were going to ask those particular types of questions. Because, look, there are a couple of, like Kawhi, he's obviously decided that he's going to play the fake news angle, right? Like this is a conspiracy theory. This is clickbait. He's going to say it's nothing. He called it old news. It's not old news. This is a alleged case of cap circumvention that could hurt the Clippers this season and cripple them for years to come if it turns out that they did this. The question that Ramona asked, where she said to, and I'm paraphrasing a little, she said, hey, people are assuming you didn't do any promotion for this company aspiration. Effectively, you did nothing to earn the $7 million per year that you were getting. He said that wasn't entirely accurate. The question I would have asked, and still hope somebody asks, if not me, is that can you point to one thing, just one thing? Like if you put out a tweet, if you showed up at an event, hell, if you planted a tree in your backyard and said you were in favor of carbon neutrality, go aspiration, that would have gone a long way towards getting the Clippers off the hook. But he has not provided any evidence that he did anything to live up to or earn the money that came from this contract. And until he does, this thing is going to hang over the Clippers' head like a cloud.
The Clippers are adamant nothing untoward happened. And Cuban has tweeted out in support.
I don't know what he's doing.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Cuban's it's not his team.
I know that. And his point is like, I would love to point out that they cheated. I would love to, that would potentially look back and help them out. I don't know. I mean, that's been his approach that, that if they did anything untoward to any other franchise, including the one I used to own, he would want to point that out.
Well, okay. I mean, when I talk to different ownership sources,
yes,
the thing I hear the most is that this could potentially open a Pandora's box because giving players extra benefits is not uncommon. It's
right.
just to the degree of the benefits. You give your star player access to your private jet to take him to Dubai, like that could happen. You give your mansion in Palm Springs. I was making stuff up at this point, but you give them little things. What's made this story so big is the number attached to it, the $28 million that's attached to it. So there is definitely some anxiety among some owners in the NBA that if the NBA believes that the Clippers circumvented the salary cap and they come down on them hard, well, then you start looking around at other teams and other pieces. And look, Steve Ballmer, does he take this, if it does go that direction, does he take it lying down? Does he start fighting back and pointing fingers at other teams? Like there is just a whole lot that could come from a conclusion drawn by the NBA that the Clippers did this.
Sports Illustrated and NBC Sports' and DAZN's Chris Mannix. A lot of slashes right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Down the street, the Lakers had their media day. J.J. Redick said that LeBron is not going to, be taking part in practices and things of that nature just yet. Said it was a nerve irritation in his glute, which is an interesting way of calling LeBron a pain in the ass, don't you think? Without really doing so. But in all seriousness, what are we making of this? Is there any there? This isn't a late September, early October story we're not going to talk about?
I don't think there's anything to be overly concerned with physically. In fact, I think the Lakers are showing signs now that they're going to do something smart with LeBron, which is scaling him back. LeBron last year played 70 games. he averaged 35 minutes per game. In his age 40 season, you cannot possibly expect a player, even one as great as LeBron, to be at full strength going into the playoffs when you have that kind of workload. This is a guy that needs to be scaled back to like the 60 game per year range, to the under 30 minute per game range. It's not easy to do. Like superstars, they want to play. They don't want to take time off if they feel like they're healthy. But for the Lakers to have the best chance of succeeding in the postseason, I think they've got a good chance. Like Luka Doncic owns the Oklahoma City Thunder. You know, whether it's in Dallas or Los Angeles, he has played extraordinarily well against Oklahoma City.
And that was prior to Men's Health Luka.
Prior to Skinny Luka, you know, the new version of him.
Right.
So he plays well against Oklahoma City. He can't do that alone, though. He needs LeBron at the closest to 100% that he can possibly be. And you're not going to get that version of him if he's going 70 games at 35 minutes per game. So my hope, and I'm sure all Lakers fans hope, is that this foreshadows some load management for LeBron James this year that still gets him into the games like 60 times per year, but keeps that workload down so he's in a better position in the playoffs.
And Zion managed his own load, it looks like, huh? What's going on? What's going on there?
It's like we're giving like golf claps for guys to come into in camp in shape, like you're getting paid max money.
Well, it's more than golf claps for them. Like
I know.
Like,
I was excited.
It's like a standing O in New Orleans.
I was excited to see him in shape because it's not that long ago that Zion was great. He played 70 games 2 years ago. Like he's shown that when he's healthy, he's a dominant player. We just finished our NBA preview, and I talked to a lot of scouts and coaches about Zion, and they're like, look, he's as close to unguardable as there is in the NBA. When he's at his best and he's healthy, we don't know, do you stick a big guy on him? He just goes around him. You stick a smaller guy on him, he just powers right through him. He is extraordinarily tough. When I saw him at Media Day, looking like he did, sounding like he did, it told me maybe that Joe Dumars might have gotten through to him a little bit. Like Joe Dumars, the new president of basketball operations, GM in New Orleans, has a lot of respect from a lot of players league-wide that dates back to his playing days. Joe has made getting through to Zion a priority, understandably so. And when I see Zion sitting there looking like that, sounding like that, it gives me some optimism that, hey, this guy can get back on track to being the franchise player we thought he was.
Let's talk about the Warriors a little bit, Chris Mannix. Interpret this Steve Kerr soundbite at his media availability this week after he said that he does not intend to sign a contract extension during this season. He's in his walk year, and he basically said, let's see how things play out.
I don't anticipate any negotiation
until the offseason.
Yeah, during the season, and you know, who knows? Maybe something. Maybe it all comes up at some point. They come to me, whatever. But I'm not the slightest bit concerned about it. I don't think about it. I just think it makes perfect sense for all of us. I've said this before, I think, but however this ends, it's going to be. It's going to be done in a really quality way. It's going to happen the right way. If it's meant to be for me to keep going, then I'm going to keep going. And if it's meant to be for, you know, the team to move on to somebody else, there will be, you know, nothing but gratitude and appreciation. So this makes it easy for everybody. Let's see where we are at the end of the year.
Want to interpret that for me?
I think it's a reasonable take. I mean, Steve Kerr has incredible job security, contract or no contract. He is inextricably linked to Steph Curry and Draymond Green. As long as Steph Curry and Draymond Green are in Golden State, Steve Kerr is going to be there. But this is, look, and those two guys have 2 years left on their respective contracts.
Okay.
But this is a interesting year for Golden State. You've got the mix of players that should be pretty good, but they're all the top guys on the older side. A couple of them have been injury prone in recent years. Should this go south this year, really south, where they're in the lottery at the end of the season, then maybe Golden State says, you know, we might have to reboot this thing a year early. We might have to look to trade Draymond Green or move off of Jimmy Butler. And then if you're Steve Kerr, you probably don't want to be part of a rebuilding situation in Golden State. I saw, when I saw that presser, I mean, your antenna goes up when you're talking about a coach in his walk year, and for most coaches, that's a difficult place to be, but not for Steve Kerr when you have the total allegiance of the two biggest stars on the team.
Okay. A couple things I want to hit with you before I send you on your day. The WNBA.
Ooh.
And this is getting particularly dicey. Nafisa Collier coming out and ethering the commissioner of the WNBA. Just absolutely, I mean, what's the phrase you used on
napalming?
Basically saying that that Kathy Engelberg has not doesn't call her, doesn't reach out in a way that her husband, who's running, unrivaled, does for other players when they're hurt or need to be. They're seeing some of the business at hand that she sees from that side of the family, that it doesn't happen here. Does the NBA reach out and step in here in this contract collective bargaining agreement negotiation that does appear to be spilling out in many different ways because it's not moving in a direction that the WNBA players like? Is that basically the question, or am I asking the wrong question?
No, I mean, look, I've never seen anything like that, for an active player to come out and in a prepared statement just napalm's the word, just napalm your boss, basically the person running your league. That I'd never in my life seen something like that in sports. Some of the stuff I thought was a little over the top, like Kathy Engelbert didn't call Collier when she sprained her ankle. Mm-hmm. Like Adam Silver doesn't call players when they have relatively minor injuries. Like that doesn't happen. Does Roger Goodell call a guy when he's turned his ankle or pulled a hamstring, or that stuff just doesn't happen. I also think it's a dangerous place to go to be revealing private conversations, and I don't know if Kathy Engelbert said the things that Nafisa Collier said. Let's assume for the sake of argument that she did. Mm-hmm. I think if you're trying to negotiate a CBA extension, showing that you're willing to reveal anything that's said at any given time is not a great thing. All that being said, I think Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, is very bad at communicating, like very, very bad at communicating.
So does Adam Silver step in any way, shape, or form? Because they own a piece of the WNBA.
Do, but like
NBA is in WNBA. I mean, it's their brand too.
They're not. Look, I don't know if Kathy Engelbert survives all this. There's been some reporting out there that once the CBA is done, that she would step aside and somebody new would take over. I don't get the sense that the NBA thinks that she's doing a bad job as commissioner. Like, her communication skills clearly suck. But I don't think that the NBA believes she's horrible at her job. Like, this whole... this is all, everything traces back to the CBA. And they're barreling towards a work stoppage. That seems inevitable at this point because these two sides, it seems like they're really far apart. I think that the WNBA and the NBA, to an extent, has a point where the WNBA came in and their initial ask was to look for a piece of the pie. They were talking about splits, like revenue sharing, that kind of stuff. The stuff that NBA players get. The NBA players get 50% of the revenue from the NBA. Well, you can do that in the NBA, where you have a total revenue of like $11 billion. You can do a 50% split. The WNBA's total revenue is like $400 million.
Even with new television contracts?
That's with it. Like $500 million, if you want to say. If you ask for let's just say a 50-50 split, that doesn't... You can't run a league with like $250 million. It's just apples and oranges in some ways. I think what the WNBA and their players should be emphasizing, and this is where you can win over a lot of the public support, is that, hey, $70,000 for these salaries is nowhere close to being enough. Let's get that up over $200,000. Let's get max salaries well over $1 million. Those are the things that I think people can get behind, because the WNBA is growing as a sport. It is growing in popularity. But I think we're just headed towards a nasty work stoppage.
It's already there.
It's there, but we haven't stopped working. I think when you get to the end of the month, and I'm not a diligent WNBA reporter on all this. I'm sort of learning in real time. But it doesn't seem like be like anything that will stop this from being a shutdown.
Well, we've been through labor negotiations as people who have covered sports, and this absolutely screams lack of progress. This screams lack of trust. This screams, as you said, work stoppage. We're obviously not we're still playing games. But I just wanted to ask you about what the NBA thinks
like,
about
there's
it.
Been, like, you go back to and I covered the David Stern labor negotiations back in the day. There's some nasty things said about David Stern back in those days as well. It always gets said, but I'd never, like, for someone to come out, I mean, that was a coordinated attack. Like, someone to come out, I'm not saying it was a bad thing, but to come out and read a prepared statement that said those things. And then, like, I think the union came out right after that with their own statement, and player reps for teams are ready to go with their responses.
This was negotiation, man. Like, all hands on deck. It's all hands on deck in a CBA negotiation. And it's his money, and it gets really intense and emotional. It spills out in many different ways. Let's keep chit-chatting, man. Great to see you. Congrats on the NBC gig. And then we'll just keep an eye out for all of your great reporting and then your podcast work as well. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.